Yeah. So already now we had enough discussion about ourselves. So I am Purushothaman. So I'm teaching IB mathematics for the last 14 years. And now currently I am located in Nudanthan International School, Thailand. So previously I worked with various international schools. Now I've taken here a small leadership role also as a class coordinator. It's a new learning platform for me now because as a supervisors we did, but still as a coordinator, some little responsibility add on. And IBDP AAHL examiner and IA moderator too. So I hope this year I will be in the state of leading the assessment also. So that is what I applied to. And so I would like to know about like we have very small group. So you can also participate, ma'am, Madhuri ma'am, if you are interested. So what do we want the children we teach to be like when they are adults? What do you think? So when they grow up, what kind of learners do you think they will be? So any thoughts, anything?
Let me begin. I don't, to be honest, I don't wish, regardless if my students are in the standard or in the higher level mathematics, I don't wish all of them to pursue mathematics. I understand that um, like they have different interests. It just
Okay.
so happened that they sit for the higher level because number one, it's a requirement in the diploma program.
Okay.
Secondly is, they're inclined to mathematics. They love critical thinking. They love how to, solve
Yeah.
different puzzles of sort. But that doesn't mean, however, that they need to pursue engineering or mathematics.
Okay.
So, all I wish for them, all I want for my children is to be capable thinkers and also
Capable
inquirers.
and
Um,
qualities.
thinkers meaning like they should be able to apply the concepts in different contexts, not
Okay.
necessarily about mathematics. It can be in anything.
And
So I wish for them to be able to think independently and
yes.
inquire further in whatever endeavor that they want to pursue in their
Yeah.
adulthood.
Yes, sir. Rightly you mentioned about independent learners. They have to think independently and act. So it's not necessary they have to be engineers or all that. So, but yes, they should be having like curious. They should be open-minded. They should be imaginative, strategic, reflective. Because each and every time, whatever the task they do, they should be a reflector because that really matters a lot. And we can see here it is like flexible because the world is changing, so we have to be very flexible, adapting new tools, new learning, new technologies, new people. Are we good at social skills? Are we good at managing the situations, understanding the context, and move with that flow? So are we risk takers? Because the students are supposed to be risk takers. If we are not taking risks, so obviously we lose many things in our life. So many things are there, like mindfulness. Obviously, the child should be in the state of having the emotional intelligence, because, like rightly you said, sir, it is not about only the math skills. They should also have a strong mindsets, the growth mindsets. Are they able to manage their emotions? Because that matters a lot, because today world is moves with very fast, a lot of stress, a lot of depressions, a lot of commitments where the people have. They should be in the state of managing their emotions, working place, even in the family life, many things. So when we look at all these strands, more or less where we are connected with the IB, MYP, as well as the DP math related to, because the child should be a metacognitive. Are they able to think critically? Are they able to think about their own thinking? Because it connects with the no math skills, TOK skills, all. Are they able to form a strategy? Are they able to apply that strategy and see the results, whether it is positive or negative, and then they have to reflect. So there are many places where they come across all these kind of strands to demonstrate what they want to be. And even when we are as adults, when we are working collaboratively with other teachers also, we are able to identify that whether this teacher, this person is, I'm okay with working with this faculty, I'm okay working with this group compared to this, because this group accepts my points. So we all have that mindsets. So today I am planning to explore. We are going to learn about this acronym, formative assessment, and ACT. What is that we are going to see, and example from that format, and the classroom example. and the formative assessment techniques using acronym by using the command terms, and interactive formative tools I'm going to share with you all. And there are different formative assessment tools that we use in our classroom. And I would like to share the toolkit because this is the platforms where really help the teachers as well as the learners to learn the concepts as well as engage them very effectively in the classroom and understand the formative assessment process. And the last slide. Okay, so acronym formative assessment is a word formed from initial letter of a series of words. So this is the idea rationale behind of this strategy. In the context of formative assessments, acronyms can serve as a tools to help teachers and students to remember important mathematical principles or process related to assessment strategies. Because we all have different strategies of using it. So this is also we can consider. I'm just sharing here one example. It is like fast, so frequent, accurate, and specifically timed. It depends upon the subject, content, concepts, it changes. So we can always frame a new acronym strategies. And here I have given the another example as a FAME. It talks about feedback, adjustment, monitoring, and engagement. So this really helps the educators as well as the learners also to understand about the formative assessment process. So this principles helps the teachers provide timely feedback, adjust instruction, and monitor student progress. Like how in IB, MYP, and DP unit planners, we have like during unit plan, before teaching the concepts, before the unit plan, during the unit, and after the unit. So it is like reflective process happens all the stages. So the same way here also we can give. Let me share one simple example. Let me explain about what is this ACT acronym. So ACT here, A talks about the assess. We evaluate the student and understanding through quick formative assessments. And C talks about the communicate, offer feedback that is targeted, actionable, and immediate. And T talks about transform. So modify instruction strategies based on assessment outcomes of enhanced student learning. So this is the tool we use of teaching mathematical concepts. Let me show you one simple example where you can understand how this will really help the learners as well as the teachers to do the unit effectively. So this is the one classroom scenario example I have taken. So one is, we are teaching the concept of graphing linear equations, so that it is like very important. The students must be able to graph the linear equations in the form y equals mx plus b, because we know that linear equations, equation of a straight line. So they talk about how do we like understand slope intercept form, intercept the slope, and y intercept in context. So this is what we teach in the classroom to the students when we talk about the linear equations. So the concern here, because this acronym strategies will help the students learning gaps. So that is what we thought. So specifically, they are confusing because the students have the doubts regarding the slope and y-intercept and misinterpreting the graph meaning. So these are the areas where we find the gaps are existing. So how do we fill this gap and what is the strategy we implement? So this is the classroom scenario example. Okay. First, here I have mentioned about assesses, choose formative assessment method. So here, communicate, plan how to provide the feedback, and based on the student's performance, adjust the lesson plan. So these are the three strands I'm focusing. So when I'm talking about the formative assessment method, I should be choosing like graph matching, because this helps the learners to identify the linear equations and match with the graph. So actually this helps the learners to aware of what is the slope, what is that y-intercept talks about, all that. So the one strategy I apply for formative assessment is graph matching. The second is giving the students the equation and ask them to graph the lines on the grid paper, and then the correlate the y-intercept and follow the slope. So it is like asking the students to graph the given equation. And this is like quick exit ticket. After the lesson, the students write down what slope, y-intercept represent real world context. So here I have given like three formative assessment methods I have chosen. So this I will be considering when I am dealing with this concept. And communicate, like how I'm going to provide the feedback. One is verbal feedback, because during graph matching or graph activities, we provide the verbal feedback, because when the students are able to connect, are they able to connect the dots and get the equation of a straight line. And we check by asking the student, how did they do it? what is the meaning of that y-intercept, what is that slope talks about, what type of slope is that. So we ask the students questions and also we give the verbal feedback to them. And written feedback, this written feedback actually helps the learners to specify the learning gaps as well as whether they understood the concept of slope, and also what is the meaning of that y-intercept. Again, it talks about the initial value or what is that all. And here transform, so based upon the student's performance, because when we teach the concepts, when we assess the student learning by using the different strategies, different formative assessment tools, and once we give the feedback, when we go back to our unit plan, we try to modify because it depends upon the student learning outcome. We see that may I add any more tasks to fulfill the gap, or may I create any kind of further questions to take them to the next level of learning. So I can plan my next class based upon the inputs, responses I got from the students. So here we can see that if the students struggle to understand how the slope relates to steepness of the graph, we try to give more real life examples where they can understand that what is the meaning of slope, what is that y-intercept talks about, more than mathematical aspect. Like whenever we go with the real world situation, real world examples where the students are able to connect quickly compared to the algebraic part, because algebraic part always confuse the learners because they are looking at in terms of a b c or x y z, what is this x talks about, why are they not talking about any other letter, because we as a math teachers have the habit of using these letters only. We always have that habit, so we never use the things like apple or banana, carrot or flowers names, because we forgot to use the names. We always use these letters to add on confusion. I mean, add on obstacles to the child to learn the concept. So better to use some kind of variables. That variables will help the child to understand the meaning of x means what, meaning of y is what, meaning of slope means what. So better to take some real world examples to understand the concepts. And if the student confuse again y-intercept, we talk about like different learning tools. Like here I mentioned about graphing tools or hands-on activity will help the child to understand or walk the graph on the large grid. So again, going back to their level and teaching the concepts really help the child about the mathematical. So these formative assessments help us to understand about the child learning, learners' ability, skills, and then we can also give whenever we give this written feedback or verbal feedback, better to use the term. How many times do we use the word good or excellent or you're doing good job? Very less number. When we count, if I am taking almost like last 5 days class, if I am taking and asking the teachers to reflect, may I know what is that, how did you appreciate your child, your learners, means they very minimum results only we get response from the teachers using the word good and excellent, or you're doing a good job. Because the teachers, I mean, I'm talking about, we always give more importance to the classroom teaching, giving tasks to the students, engaging them, taking feedback. But as a verbal feedback, I am giving, yeah, you're doing a good job. This is what we are expecting. I think you're moving forward. You're doing this way. Well, that's really nice. Because this kind of responses we are using very less. Better to use this kind of responses frequently where we can see the learners skills will be improved. I mean, the responses also will be more engaging in the classroom. Yes, so this is what the meaning of that acronym I have considered for ACT, Assess, Communicate, and Transform. And here, IB, before I move to this, any questions, any questions, anything? So, do you have Mr. Simon?
So far, I'm able to follow the
Okay,
conversation.
thank you. So this is the very important thing I consider, because as an IB teacher, when I am framing the questions for my classroom discussions or classroom learning process, I always use this strategy because IB focus more with the command terms. As an examiner, as a teacher also, when I look at this command terms, actually where the students find difficulty. If we are not using it frequently in the classroom, then they also lose their focus. So when, as a teacher, if I am using the command terms effectively in the classroom, the students will be familiarized with the terms and the students are able to connect with the concepts what they learn. So in that case, I would like to share a simple example where we use this acronym technique here, like formula, application, meaning, evidence. So now I am going to connect this strategy with my classroom concept, what I am going to teach. Here we can see here, uh, it is like write a formula for the quadratic equation, because this is the task we can do it in the classroom. So F talks about formula. So they have to write a formula about the quadratic equation. Second, they should be familiarized how to apply this quadratic formula to solve the quadratic equation. So second stage. The third is once they get the result, what is the meaning of the result they have to explain. If I'm getting x is 5 and x is 3 means what is this x is 5 and x is 3? What it means, they have to explain the solution, and they have to give two examples about the quadratic equations from the real life context, and they have to provide the evidences to support that real life situations can be modeled. What are this? So this really help the learners to be aware of it. If I am a learner, core learner, I don't know how to do it, I can easily identify where I am lacking behind. As a teacher also, we can also identify where the child is lacking behind of it. Whether the child is able to identify the formula and then write down, whether the child is able to use the variable, the values into the formula to solve the equation or not, where the child is struggling with solving the equation or the child is able to find out the variable values. And after finding the results, what is the real meaning of that, whether the child is able to define, explain that, and then the child is able to connect the real life situation and provide the evidences to support the answers. So this is the place where we can see that the child moving from lower order thinking skill to the higher order thinking skill. That really helps the teachers as well as the learners to know about their learning process, whether it happened effectively or not meaningfully. So this is the strategy, and because the command terms, the child must be aware of what is right means what is this apply, what is this explain means what are they looking forward. When we are talking about the example means are they looking for the reasons or what kind of evidences. When I am writing the mathematical communications is going to appropriate or not. So all that. Yes, Mr. Simon.
I'm just curious, like, did you pull this out, JP, from somewhere, or you made this yourself?
This is my thing. I just took the screenshot. I just kept it here because of the thing.
Wait, sorry. So you made it up?
Yeah. So do you like to see? Because I sent this as my proposal to the classify. One second.
Yeah.
Uh,
I like it. I love it. I mean, well, unconsciously, we've been doing this as a mathematics teacher. We've been following the fame formula that you made.
oh,
We write the
that's
formula. So I was like beginning with the formula before I even plug in the information.
okay.
Um, whenever I work on a certain solution in front of the students, I always like starting with the formula, and then the next step would always be evaluation of the formula. So like plugging in all this information, and
Okay.
then try to also extract like which part of the quadratic equation do we consider, for example, because there are, let's say, two possible answers for in a quadratic formula. So do we
Yeah.
consider the negative part for real life examples or
Yeah.
just the positive one? So unconsciously we've been doing this, but I love how you framed
Yeah.
work framework them into a an acronym like this.
So that gives actually, as a teacher as well as the learner, we can easily understand
Right.
this is the place where the child is struggling. Okay, let me change my unit plan. Let me give this kind of example might help my child to learn, help my learner
Right.
to learn this. So that is the way where we can fix the learning gaps. And also the classroom also will be engaged of doing like this. So when we use
Yeah.
this strategies, techniques, they will be more engaged in the classroom instead of directly going just giving the question and solving the problem, get the solution, okay, we done, let us go means they will not see that essence of the math. So when we use this kind of
That's true.
strategy, really help. So let me share
That's
one more example here, like problem solving, representation, interpretation, mathematical process, and explain. So this acronym technique I am going to use for linear inequalities situation. So here where the construct and solve linear inequality algebraically from the real life context, and they have to represent the solution on the number line, and they have to talk about interpretation of the number line, because what is the meaning of the number line when they are from the context, and they have to show the mathematical process clearly because they're shading the region, what is the meaning of that all, and explaining why is it important to represent real world situations with inequalities and how understanding inequalities can help in making decisions. So when I look at IB criterions, knowing and understanding, investigating patterns, communicating and reapplying mathematics in real life context, where I can see that all my criterions also I can bring into this strategy. Are they familiar is knowing and understanding means are they able to select the rule, apply that into the proper, and they able to solve? And are they able to communicate mathematical properly? What are the words are they using it when they are writing their understanding? So there are many places where we get the opportunity to identify their learning process, and it is very visible to us. And also as a teacher we can also see that, well, okay, this child is finding difficulty of writing a mathematical part by using a right terms. So this child is finding difficulty of representing the solution on the number line. Might be the child confused with the less than or greater than or equal to. So that they should be, are they able to define the difference of less than and less than equal to? So, and when the child itself doing it, this will help them when they go to the DP level, when they are working for their math IAS explorations, where they can use this kind of strategies to see that, okay, I'm going to take, let me explore with water. So from water, how I'm going to do it, my math IA. Okay, let me talk about water means rain comes, water droplets comes. So in that case, let me talk about the rainfall over a period of year, or let me talk about what is the volume or the surface area of the water droplet. So they slowly they drag, they are able to unpack that from the word water by using a different acronym strategies to later stages. This stage will really help the students to aware of how to do math and really help the learners to engage very effectively in the classroom if we as a teachers using it effectively in the class. So, so any questions regarding this?
Can I ask questions? Okay, I just want to like fully understand your acronyms because I love the fame.
Okay.
That for me is very simple, straightforward. It's easy to follow. I might even, use that for with the PYP as I come in their lessons. But I'm trying to understand like this. Okay, mostly, these two frameworks that you created are applicable in real life. I mean, in word problems. So problem solving is this means like identifying the problems. Is that so?
Yes, there should be, we can rewrite also. It depends upon what concept are you teaching. I've just taken here prime. I'm trying to connect with my command terms, what I would like to look for it. Okay, P means I'm focusing with the problem solving areas. So when I'm looking at problem solving areas, let them construct and solve, because from the statement problems, they have to construct the equation and then they have to solve the equation. So I'm looking for that construct and solve are my IBMYP command terms, but overall it's a
Yep.
problem solving technique. So like that, as a teacher, we have to take a call and design by ourselves, because
Okay.
here there is nothing called rule one, rule two, rule three. It is completely
Right. Yeah.
based where the teacher can frame own rules, I mean, own techniques to create that. So whatever the words you
Okay.
like, if you are focused, for example, my child is finding difficulty with the justify, verify, and proof.
Yeah.
I have to form a new term and then I will drag that. Okay, let me focus with that verify command term from the criterion D, or investigating patterns, verify, justifies, generally they struggle. So let me bring this to command terms with my acronym. So let me choose a word connects with that. Like that, we have to use it. So basically, it needs a creative thinking process and
Yes.
subject knowledge, and
Yeah.
obviously it needs little more time to think and then discuss, because brainstorming matters in department meetings. We should have this kind of discussions to
Right.
make sure that the teacher is able to bring the classroom very lively and make the child to get more interest with the subject. Because
Correct.
otherwise they
Okay.
say that, oh, math is very abstract, I cannot do it because I'm not understanding what is this called XYZ. What is the why we have to learn about trigonometric ratio means, then obviously they will lose that. So what is that ratio? Trigonometric ratio means sine, cos, tan means what? So what is it? It's basically it starts from grade one onwards. We talks about fraction. I'm comparing. So when we are comparing, so here I'm going to compare the two sides of the triangle. That is what my focus. I am having, like how human beings have a different names, same way we should have a common understanding. Wherever I go, my name is same. Mr. JP remains same for wherever I go. So it's a universal understanding. So they all have the understanding about sine, cos, tan, comparing these two ratios. So it is like, as a teacher, how I am going to teach my concepts by connecting with their understanding, with their examples, all that. Then it is easy for the classroom to be very effective. Otherwise, everywhere block, student classroom management problem occurs, and we also find difficulty of framing the formative assessments, summative assessments, what to assess because they're lacking behind, they are not understanding. So many stories happens. But as a teacher, I mean, collaborating with the other subject member, I mean, collaborating with our team and then framing this kind of techniques actually helps the learners learn the concept very effective. Even from
Yeah.
PYP or MYP, even DP, the connectivity will be more.
Yeah, I love it. I love also the intention of putting the command terms in there. Is it possible for you, JP, to move back to the previous slide? I just want to see the command terms. Ah, okay. Command terms also like write, apply, explain, list.
Right,
Okay,
apply,
gotcha.
explain, and examples. Why I am asking the child to give example means because are the child able to this meaning? Okay, like you said, positive, negative. Why should I accept positive? Why should I deny negative? But when it comes to real life situation, is there what is that X represents? What is that X negative value represents? If the child able to give the evidence, then it shows that yes, the child has reached the band of 8. So I can understand. Yes, the child demonstrates the critical thinking effectively. The child is able to transfer the skill. So it again moves towards ATL skills also. Okay. So actually, this is the task. Actually, you guys have to do it. If you're okay, we can. Otherwise, we can go to the next level. Are you okay of framing or shall we go to it? If there are many candidates, we can easily, I mean, collaborate each other. We can work. So we
Yeah.
are very less. So anyway, I'm proceeding further. But this is like you can also try, Mr. Simon. So it really helps the learners to get that core knowledge about math. So here is a Padlet you can try later. Yeah. So this is that assessment tool. Um, which one does not belong and find a reason why each one does not belong. So here I have given some tools. This tool you can see here, this is the graph. So once like they have to identify like how in PYP we use odd one out. If I am giving like identify the odd one out by stating like 2, 4, 6, 7, the child will say that 7 is not a comes under this because remaining numbers are even number. So the same strategy we are using in our middle school IB MYP also because they have to give the reason why do you think this is not belongs to this group. So in that case the child is revising the concept of quadratic. The child must be aware of what is this curve talks about, whether it is open or, I mean, the curve upwards or downwards. They have to give the justification and then they have to talk about the key features of the graph. So that really helps the learners to revise and also it reflect very effectively about the learning process. And here again talks about linear equation means they should be aware of positive slope or negative slope, where the line goes towards the positive, where it crosses the y-axis. So whether the slope is positive or negative, how do they know? They have to give the meaning, all that. So this strategy again will help the learners to revise the concepts, review the learning what they have learned in the classroom. And here another strategy is like after they learn the concept, they should be aware of, okay, so here is the concept. This is the like critical thinking based again. So we give the different set of graphs and they have to share their understanding. So they have to use the subject knowledge and we will ask the child to give the reason like why does 3 represent function but x equal 3 does not. So when they are engaged this, when we engage the students in the classroom with this kind of questions, that really helps the learners to think critically and reflect, are they able to connect with the concepts what they have learned in the class, that really visible to us. And here is a zero error analysis because this frequently I used in my classroom because this is the place where immediately the formative assessment techniques will help me, whether the child understood the concept or not, whether the child is able to identify the error. In that case, if the child identify the error, what is the outcome of that? So what is the right solution? So the child will identify the mistake and then they have to find the right solution. So this actually helps the learners to have the self check as well as a teacher I will also be aware of that yes the child is able to identify the mistake, the child is able to solve this problem by themselves. So that gives the overall understanding about the concepts what they have learned in the class. Because finding mistakes is easy, but finding the answer for that mistake matters a lot. And yes, this is, I really like this strategy again, the same but different math, because different ways of solving the problem actually we are bringing here. In this case, we have a different forms of quadratic equation. So the child can use a general form or the child can use the vertex form. So in that case, when can I use this different forms? When can I use this strategy? When can I use this strategy? We should be in the state of giving the right directions to the learners to be aware of what technique they should use when they are facing same kind of situations by using a different math skills. And here they are using a factor theorem and remainder theorem. So it is like long division method. So this kind of math only generally the students will get confusion. I'm finding the same solution, but my approach is different, but still why are they looking forward? So here our aim is to give importance to mathematical process about the situation. And here I would like to share the video. So 1 second. I hope I can open the video. Yeah. Is it audible?
Purushottam, your screen is not
At its
visible. I mean,
core,
your slides
visible
are
learning is about making learning visible to everyone. To know that learning actually
Are you able to view my screen, ma'am?
no,
Okay.
not me. What about you, Aruna?
Okay, now is it visible now?
It's loading. Yes, now it is visible.
occurred. We
Audible?
spend a lot of time focusing on
Yes.
teaching and not as much focusing on learning. Visible
Yeah.
learning says, let's have an impact on our students. Let's have students notice the impact their learning experiences are having on them. Do we have an impact from the choices we make as educators to influence the students' thinking, their understanding, and their reasoning? That's what we're trying to accomplish with visible learning in mathematics. Visible learning is a huge database of collected research from around the world. And what John Hattie was able to do was collect other people's studies of studies. These are called meta-analyses, collapsing research evidence into systems to look at what works and what doesn't work. A meta-analysis is a statistical tool that researchers use to aggregate findings across other people's studies. And in doing so, you create an effect size, an impact measure, if you will, to say, how sure are you that this intervention, this influence, causes some sort of impact? And the effect size work that John has done shows that about 0.40 effect size gives you a year of growth for a year of school. As teachers, we should be looking at these highly effective practices and influences saying, what are the things I'm going to do? Because this is likely to work.
But it's knowing that impact. So it's knowing about it, knowing what you need to work on next. It's knowing what you prioritize. And have you got evidence for it?
Think of visible learning as two sides of the same coin. On one side are what effective teachers do, and on the other side are what students should be able to do. Effective teachers are able to communicate their learning intentions clearly. They have challenging success criteria. They teach their students a wide variety of learning strategies, a toolkit, if you will. They understand and notice when students aren't making progress. They provide feedback, and especially they understand the impact that they have on their students' learning.
Is it time to do some surface level work with them? Or do I need to move to more deep level? And at some point, we want them to transfer to unique situations. Matching the right tool, the right approach, the right influence with the kind of learning is really important.
We need to understand that students move through these phases of surface, deep, and transfer of learning. So in that planning process, we need to consider and align the strategies that work best at the right time.
So Hattie's work on visible learning has been getting a lot of attention in the English language arts field, but starting to come up more and more with mathematics. And so this notion of surface feed and transfer learning. We're hoping that what the book will do is translate that into things that make sense for mathematics teachers and how we can use that valuable work to help the way that we teach math and to know more about the instructional choices we make when we choose how we're going to teach math and how we're going to work with children.
When I think about the visible learning framework and how it can support teachers of mathematics, it helps us make better decisions, take what we know about what works in mathematics, and think more carefully about when the strategy works and what it works well for. Our role as teachers is to make sure that every child can be successful in math class. And in order to do that, one of the things we've been thinking about as a mathematics community is this idea of formative assessment. And how do we monitor student progress? How do we know where children are, where they've come from, and particularly what kind of feedback we need to give them so that their learning is visible to us, so that their learning is visible to them, and so that their learning is something that the students own as much as the teachers. And this work with visible learning in mathematics really brings a powerful tool set to complement what we know about mathematics in particular with the broader research about how to help children learn.
Our job is to help kids actually see what they think they can do. Our job is to help them realize that they can do better than what they thought they could do when they walked into this classroom. Now, that's when you get true impact. Every child has the opportunity of being excellent. You can give excellence to all kids. We can deliver on that. This starts from a simple premise. Do you know your impact?
Yeah, I hope you are able to see the slide now.
No, YouTube video is visible.
Okay. Yeah, now? I think yes.
No.
Okay. Yes. So let us, yeah. So sometimes we use a strategy of thinking with text and images, because the text and images also will makes a difference in the learning process. When we are assessing also, we see that what kind of impact makes. So here, this is the strategy we use in our classroom. I think I notice, I wonder, because this is the place where they reflect upon the mathematical concepts and they try to apply the concepts and see that. So this open-ended questions actually guides the students to participate and think mathematically. So that really helps the learning process. And here the concepts, what we assess also really we get the clarity, how they perceive in proportional relationships to behave and wonder about what options provide the most value. And they will ask about the questions, prizes were determined in the first place. So what I am trying to say in this case is always try to project the image and then ask the child to reflect upon the images in terms of mathematical aspect where we can see the learning process happen or not. And this is a wonderful interactive formative assessment tool we can use in our classroom, because this is a digital tool where a math manipulative tool allows the students to interact with mathematics concepts visually, and we can use for our interactive formative assessments. So let me click this. Are you able to view now the tool?
Slides are visible.
Okay, I will share the complete entire screen. I think now it makes, yeah. Yes. So here we can see that this is the platform where interactive formative assessment tool we can use. I would like to share this one. Let me take algebra, and particularly let me talk about the function mission, where I'm just keeping this function mission, and you can see that the process happen inside the box where I can give my input is 2 and the process here is 3. So we can ask the students how it moved, shift happen from 2 to 3. So they have to reflect upon it. They can also understand what is this function meaning literally, and function is nothing about the process inside the box happens. So when I give my input is 2, my output is 3, because 2 plus 1, it gives 3. So what I learned in my PYP, just now we are rewriting in a different form. So this is like the child will get the clarity about what is the function, how it looks. So what is the meaning of input means we are using the technical term called domain, and technically we use the output called range. So the child will be understanding, the learners will get more understanding about mathematical concepts when you use different simulation methods. So this is a wonderful platform we can use for our assessment as well as we can use for our classroom teaching learning process. And I would like to show the another strategies. There are different is there algebraic tiles we can use, because when you're teaching the mathematical concepts related with the formulas, because a plus b whole square means how I am going to teach, where we can use this platform to engage them in the classroom very effectively. They're different. You can see a geometry, you can see numbers based, fractions based, everything. This is the simulations interactive tool, so you can use it effectively. And let me show you the another one. So here, this is another platform. I hope you guys are able to see the new platform here. So in this case, here, this is the another tool where I use for my classroom teaching process. So here, because investigating patterns is one of the important criteria in our IB MYP, so I can use this platform to teach or assess. So here there are many things because we can ask the child and they can also reflect here. For example, I'm just typing it. So let me take 18 and I'm typing 21. So here it is like interactive. They can enter the values and see that what is the outcome, everything. And what is this talks about? Suppose if I'm typing 54, so you can see here that is wrong. So that means I am not able to identify the proper pattern. So I should think a little more. Again, I have to identify my values. So it is an interactive platform where we can use for our classroom teaching process. Here it's a visibly, they can see that what is the meaning of it, how it is connected. It's really a good platform we can use for classroom teaching. So we have a Fibonacci series. We can easily explain to them by showing these examples. So let me show you another platform. 1 second. Let me close all this. Okay. So I hope you are able to see now. Yes. So this is another platform. Yes, you can see all kind of mathematical topics they have reflected here. For example, I am focusing on the indices. I just clicked and I can choose what I am going to discuss in my classroom. So what any kind of activities you can choose here. So it is like indices eye test, you can see here. So this is the task. And we can use this task by clicking, and it's wonderful platform again where we can use for our classroom discussions, all that. The exam style questions you need, you're looking for something else related with C, they have to write it in standard form. Ordinary number, the number, how can I write it in? Because you can use for our classroom discussion also, because the questions are connected to the real life situations and where we can see that the students' engagement in the classroom. And then I have another one. So I think this we discussed. Yeah, this is another platform link. It's loading. Yes, here also the list of concepts where I list showed. For example, radical equations, I can click here. This is like multiple choice answers where they have to solve literally. They will show the mathematical process and then they have to choose their answers. When I click this, where I can see good, but try A is not right, B is the right answer. So the complete mathematical process are explained and showed it here. So the child can do it by themselves. I can choose the next question. I can see my skill. I'm clicking good try, but not right. So you can see here another, the complete work mathematical process they have shown here. So it is like self-check or self-reflection. They can have, or we can assign this as a homework. They can practice at home. Even in classroom discussion also, we can have this kind of tools in our classroom. Let me go to the next one. Here, this is another platform. Yes, here we can use the many tasks where we can see here. Here is my menu. I can choose what is the learning resources I'm looking forward. Here, I can choose my skills, select course. So all the skills I can see here. Calculus related, algebraic fractions I am clicking. So here, complete the teaching tools, we are aware of it, and what skill you are focusing, whether it's algebraic addition, subtraction of algebraic fractions without prior factorization. So I can click this, I can download here. So it's like a worksheet practice tools from different curriculums, but still really helps the learners to aware of a different variety of context questions. Another platform I would like to share is the SSD. So it's opening. Yeah. So here we can choose the things. For example, I am focusing with surface area. It is closing. Yes, it's loading. Yeah. So this we can have in our classroom. We can take a print and we can discuss in the classroom. Here, the volume of cylinder is there. What is the surface area? The base is given. Here, volume is given. Identify what is the surface area. So we have an answer key too. So it is like group task or collaborative work we can assign to our students and then they can work on it. And this is again, it's a wonderful resource platform. Here, the investigation tasks, like I can suggest a lot of tasks are there. You can choose any one task. For example, scatter diagram I'm clicking. So where I can see a task as well as the rubric and the student's response. So if you would like to have some kind of standardization meeting in your department, you can try this kind of activities to engage the teachers in your department meetings or even the students in the classroom. We can use this platform. So here the statements are there. The child has to give the reason and we have our answer key too because assessment rubric is there and the score also is given. Yes, these are the students' response. We have students' response and then you can reflect upon their work and we have our answer key too. So it is like helping the students to aware of a different learning techniques, formative assessment tools are available to engage them in the classroom. Yes, here is the another one. There are many interactive formative assessments tools are available. So this actually helps the teachers as well as the learners to practice. This is another formative assessment process we use in our regular teaching time. So this is like elicit, interpret, clarify, act. So these are the four strands are very important. Let us have a look with each strand. Clarify. So we determine the learning goals and what students will learn about by the end of the lesson. It is basically we say that statement of inquiry are big ideas we can consider. And these learning goals are written in student-friendly language so that they understand very easily because sometimes when we create our success criteria or our tasks, the students find difficulty of understanding what is the literal meaning of that. What about the task, all that. So we have to use a friendly language where the child get more understanding about the tasks and establish success criteria or the evidences the teachers and students use to determine how students are progressing towards learning goals. And they are also written in the student-friendly language, begin with I can. And the next strategy, next strand defines about elicit. They engage in the learning event or actively that prompts generates evidences of learning. Evidence should be tightly aligned to the learning goal and consider the student's interest, needs, or learning styles when deciding how to elicit the evidence so the students demonstrate their understanding in different ways to meet the success criteria. So this is the place where you use the thinking visible strategy actually helps the learners to demonstrate their learning and understanding of the mathematical concepts. And the next thing is interpret. So this is like again review the evidences to determine the students' progress towards the learning goals. Because when we are using a visible learning techniques or thinking routine techniques where we can identify the student learning gaps, whether they understood the concept or not, whether they are able to do from code math skills to the enrichment math skills or not. So we can use this place like data driven also we can say Students can analyze the evidence of their own learning, and because the own reflection, self-reflection here plays a major role. And when they are working with the peer group, again, that also makes a big difference in the learning process. And interpreting evidence is not just a single event, but part of ongoing process throughout instruction. Because the formative assessment beauty is it's an ongoing process. It is not just we say that, okay, your knowledge, you attend this much. No, it is again the scope for the child to improve their learning, improve their knowledge. And the next one we have focused with ACT. The teacher determine the and initiate appropriate instruction next steps. And this may not be the same for all the students. This is the place where differentiation techniques appears. And the students receive feedback, constructive feedback that's very specific about what they need to do next in the learning process. Because we identify the gaps, but generally very less percentage where we give the direction to the students how to overcome that. If we are fixing that gaps, if we are giving our feedback constructively, the child will attain the complete knowledge about that particular context, what we are teaching in the classroom. And so you can refer this platform, and this is the hands-on experience, but time is limited. So I am so I will share the link. You can practice it. You can review. Again, I have given that how to give the comments, how to give the feedback. What are the questions you can keep in the comments so that the child will attain the next level of learning and they can fill the gap. Yeah, so this is about me. Any questions?
Hi.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a question which is not related to um assessments, if that's possible.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because I see that, right, you mentioned earlier that you have different tools where, especially for the investigation part, I love it. That's something that I have to keep on exploring. So I'm just wondering because it's easy to somehow, I mean, in most IB textbooks, we'll find there different investigations, different activities that they suggest, but say we try to match we try to use the Cambridge 0607, for example,
Okay. International
in
mathematics.
yeah, the international mathematics in MYP. And that means there might be some topics in that curriculum which is not existent in the IB curriculum, which will not be tested in the
Yeah.
e-assessment, for example. But we feel, as the mathematics teacher, that it's somehow needed and it's just appropriate for their level. So my question is like, where do you get those materials? And that's number one. And secondly is, does it resort to you making those materials, which might, you know, which might be taxing from a teacher's point of view? You
Last
get what I
thing
mean?
is, where do we find the resources to, to give the direction to the learners? Because generally, we try to take the resources from IB, like in international mathematics, investigation modeling tasks actually matches with the IB strands. But as a teacher, what I suggest is first, as a teacher, solve the problem completely from beginning to ending and see what are the
Yeah.
mathematical concepts they have assessed in that investigation task. Are they matching with your grade 9, grade 10, what you have discussed? First thing. Second is what are the command terms they have used? Because Cambridge also use the command terms, but not that
Yeah.
much of insist on it. But we as a IB teachers, we focus on the command terms too. So this is the place where I think this is matching with my IB expectations too. Okay, let me use this investigation task. But this is not matching, therefore let me not consider it. So international mathematics we can use as a tool to engage the students. Second, like different platforms, because it depends upon the criteria. Even as a teacher, we should also sit and create the tasks, like how students are doing their IEAs exploration task by individual by themselves. The same way as a teacher, I also have to sit and create a task that matches with my learning outcomes, what I have planned for in my unit plan. If I am doing it, I will as a teacher, I also gain more understanding about what is the IB expectations. How can I use the IB command terms? How can I use my strand? This strand, when they talk about select, apply, solve means what is the meaning of select in this context? I should be aware of it. What is that meaning of apply in this context? Because context changes, the strands also changes, the outcomes, what we are expecting also changes, everything changes. So before we assign whatever the tasks, better do it by ourselves and see the outcome, have a collaborative meeting with your department members, take the inputs, then you can do it. I know it is little time consuming, but still I will look for the strands, command terms, and the criterias. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, may I intervene here?
Yes, ma'am.
As Simon rightly said, sometimes it is too taxing for teachers to,
Yeah.
prepare. We won't be left with the time to prepare all these things. We are in a rush. What in my experience I see is that the conceptual clarity which is missing in students in from lower grades to higher grades. For instance, I'll give you an example. I went into DP class and I asked them, what is the difference between equation and a function? Right?
Mhm.
They're also doing quadratic equations or any other equation, and they're finding out the roots, zero, and factorization, all that. And coming to the function, you also have quadratic equation or same graph. I just asked them, what is the difference? Why do you call this as a function, and where we treat that as an equation? So it's very sad that not the so-called good students also could not give immediate answer. It's like the way math is being taught in lower classes. It makes a lot of difference, And also, as you rightly said, MYP criterion, all that. The one who studies in MYP purely MYP 4-5 assessments, for them DP is a huge jump
Yes.
Yeah.
in terms of and that's right. This is the reason why we have introduced in our IGCSE, instead, in addition to extended math, we also started international math. International
Yeah.
math paper 3 questions would at least give them an idea how to model the equations, and real life situations, how to model real life situations. However, all said and done, there is a challenge still exists, and teachers, in their own way, in their own context, keep paving the path for themselves and going ahead. I appreciate all math teachers. Thank you. You have
Yeah.
shared so many resources. I don't know how many teachers use them. Okay.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. I have a
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Simon.
Okay.
So,
Well, yeah, I get your point, JP. And I love the thinking process. I love the planning, the process of planning. Somehow I'm using that. I'm going through that, and it's always like, how efficient can I be with my time? Because it's so nice to, adapt all these things. And you were right there. Before it even comes out to the students, you have to filter them. You have to sit down, do your assignment, go through it, connect it with IB requirements, find the command terms, and use that instead, and use the other curriculum as a tool instead of yeah.
because each curriculum has a different flavors, I mean, different strands, different expectations. But if we are able to make a common connections with this curriculums and with our IB expectations, all we can easily make a difference.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
JP.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, this is lunch break now. So
Oh,
see
thank
you at
you. See you all.
1:40.
Bye. Yeah. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.